I've got a lot of Rubik's Cubes and twisty puzzles in my collection, including these beasts. But the funny thing is, these aren't actually the hardest puzzles in my collection. Often it's the kind of unassuming ones that turn out to be the hardest. And in this case, I want to show you this little fella that's hiding down here. This is the Latch Cube. Let's take a look. So here it is, the Latch Cube. It might look just like a normal Rubik's Cube. Here we have the name, the Latch Cube, and its designer, Katsuhiko Okamoto. He's a very prolific twisty puzzle designer. But the thing you'll notice is these arrows and circles on the faces. And so what those do is, if I try to turn this in the direction of the arrow, this way, and anti-clockwise in this case, it turns fine. If I try and turn it the other way, it won't turn, it locks up. And the same is true of all the other faces. So I can turn this one this way, but not back the other way. So if I want to get back the other way, I have to keep going all the way around. That would be all very well if that was all there was to it. The interesting thing though, is what happens when we combine the arrows together. So if I do this face, all the arrows are pointing clockwise, so this face is now going to turn clockwise perfectly fine. Okay, but if I do this, now we have a face where the arrows are against each other. This face cannot turn at all. This becomes an unturnable face. You can also end up with this, where you have a face that will turn in both directions because it has no arrows on it. So you have all these combinations. And this is what makes the Latch Cube so interesting and difficult to solve. I have solved it once. I'm not going to scramble it again, and I'm not going to solve it again because it took me so long to solve. It's actually pretty straightforward to get the first couple of layers going, or even done. But I personally found the last layer really difficult to do because all the algorithms that I know ended up locking up faces, meaning you just couldn't continue. It was very hard, but I broke it down to simpler and simpler moves and ended up getting there. So yeah, when people show you one of those, 10 by 10 Rubik's Cubes or a Petaminx or an Examinx or anything like that and say, look, isn't this the hardest Rubik's Cube? You can confidently tell them no. Those are much easier than the Latch Cube. Okay, so that's the Latch Cube, and what I have here is, well, it looks like it's the same cube, right? But it's actually slightly different. This is called the Latch Cube 2, and it's the same kind of idea, but it only has these latch faces on the blue and the green, so two locked up faces, and the rest of them are just normal. And since I don't dare scramble this one again, I'm going to see if I can scramble and solve this one, which I've actually never tried before, so I have no idea if it's going to be easier or not. I sort of assume it must be easier, surely. Ooh. Oh, well, first of all, why won't that turn? It's just incredibly stiff. I think there's some loosening here to be done. Okay, so as I understand it, faces like this can turn freely, right? But what I'm wondering about is what happens if I do this. Yeah, okay, so now that's only able to turn anti-clockwise. Okay, so, and presumably this face now can't turn at all, right? So I think this one will be quite a bit easier because the number of times you get a face that's completely locked up will be far fewer because there are only, well, let's just check. I think this face can move freely, yeah. Yeah, so there's only 4 arrows on the entire cube as opposed to this one, which has 12 arrows, so they're much more likely to meet each other. That's the way I'm thinking about it. So I'm going to have a go at basically scrambling this cube. It is so stiff. Okay, I've already created a locked up face there. Oh dear, these center caps keep popping off. I've got to say, the sort of original Latch Cube with the Latch Cube name on it, although this one's now very loose from me spending such a long time solving it, it's a very high quality puzzle. It's quite expensive, but it's very high quality. This one so far feels rather lower quality in terms of these. Look at these center caps, they just keep popping off. And it's just, the tension is just way too high, so the layers barely turn, but we'll work with that for now. Alright, I'm going to consider this scramble pretty soon. Yeah, and look, so how have we ended up? The 4 arrows, for example, in this scramble happen to all be on different faces, and I think that's just, you know, reasonably likely to happen most of the time. Alright, well, let's see if I can solve it. I'm just going to take a standard approach first to solving this. Just making a cross at the moment. So there's a cross. I happen to have a couple, well, one corner in the right place and one corner in the right place, but oh, I messed up doing the cross, in fact. Okay, so I think this is really interesting. Get the next cross out of it there. So far I haven't yet hit an issue where I can't turn a face. So far it's been exactly like solving a regular cube, except sometimes I have to do this where I turn the face seemingly the wrong way in order to get it to work. But I'm guessing at some point I will hit a problem, but let's see. Okay, so wait, what's happening? Oh, this one's locked. Didn't notice. Okay, there we go. That's the first time I've had that. Oh, that's locked as well. Alright, now I'm hitting some troubles, but they're pretty mild. I don't feel like this is going to make it impossible to solve. Okay, let's just... do this. Oh, this is locked. Not if I do that, yeah. Okay. Let's work this time. Yeah. Oh. Oh, no, that locks it as well. What I'm doing is keep going round and round. This can come up to here. Oh, I've lost the center cap. Put that back in. And there we go. Okay. Alright. So we've done the first 2 layers. There was a few little tricky bits, but mostly it was pretty straightforward. Now, I know this OLL case, but I'm not sure if I really want to do it. No, I don't. It's too stiff. I'm just going to do it the old-fashioned way. There we go. So again, no terrible issue there. Oh, and I've just got 3 corners left. I wonder. I might solve this just using commutators to see what happens. So, rather than using standard 3x3 algorithms. Oh wait, actually doesn't this OLL only modifies the corners anyway? Let's see. Oh no, not true. Oh well. Okay, but I've left myself an A perm. Look at that cat popping out again. I guess what I don't want to do is glue these caps down before I've untightened these screws. Loosened the screws? Oh, I just noticed the caps have sort of clear plastic, whereas the centers have clear plastic, whereas the rest of them are black. Very strange. Anyway, an A-perm here. I've forgotten what I'm doing. Oh no, I messed this up. Okay, plus A. Okay, well, all I've done is something strange. Well, it's actually, I mean, this is always the case, but it's hard to do these algorithms when it's so stiff. Okay, I'm better at doing this version of the A-perm. Oh, I see. Yeah, so I'll do it one more time. And then I'll have two twisted corners. Oh no, it's actually solved. There we go. Okay, so it wasn't too bad to solve. My thumbs are aching now from how stiff it is. So I think for this to be a usable puzzle, the tensions would need to be loosened dramatically, because even these faces that aren't supposed to be restricted, it feels like they don't turn almost. And also the center caps would probably have to be glued in or blue tacked in or something. But otherwise, there we go. So the latch cube, I would say, is probably the hardest twisty puzzle that I've ever solved. Doesn't mean to say it's the hardest puzzle, but it's the hardest one I've solved. The Latch Cube 2 is actually very easy, very straightforward. There's a few little wrinkles to it, but nothing much. And honestly, most of the difficulty I faced there was just because of how stiff it was, meaning it was hard to do those last layer algorithms. If it were nice and loose, that would have been very easy. So yeah, I highly recommend the Latch Cube as a very challenging but fun and interesting puzzle. Latch Cube 2, I don't know, maybe there are other variants of it. Maybe I got unlucky and got one that was not very well put together, but as it stands, the one I've got here, I can't really recommend. So there we go. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.